What happens when a trusted CIA agent discovers that the real enemy might be working beside her? Unlocked follows Alice, a skilled interrogator who's pulled back into the field after a failed mission, only to uncover a deadly conspiracy inside her own agency. When she realizes a biological attack is about to be unleashed on London, Alice must decide who to trust and how far she's willing to go to stop it. So, let's dive straight in. The movie begins with Agent Alice Racine, a CIA interrogator who's still haunted by mistakes from her past. One day, she gets some important information from a young Muslim man named Amjad. He tells her about 9 Egyptian men living in the same apartment who seem suspicious. Later that day, Alice meets her MI5 contact, Emily Knowles, in a park and passes on the information. Emily says the apartment was already raided, but the men escaped before the team got there. That night, Alice finds out the Egyptians were just students, which leaves her disappointed and frustrated. Meanwhile, a young courier named Latif meets with a radical preacher, Imam Yazid Khalil, in a restaurant. Khalil tells Latif to memorize a secret message about an upcoming terror attack and deliver it to someone else. After repeating the message, Latif leaves on his moped but is suddenly kidnapped by masked men. In another part of the city, a maid finds the dead body of Jimmy, a CIA interrogator who was supposed to question Latif. Bob Hunter, the head of the CIA's Europe division, is informed that there's a plan for a biological attack on a US target in the UK. The attack will be led by an American man who joined a terrorist group named David Mercer. With Latif now in custody, Bob and his team plan to replace the message he was carrying with a fake one to stop Mercer's attack. Since Jimmy is dead, they decide Alice has to take on the mission. On a bus, Alice is approached by a man named Frank Sutter, who introduces himself as a CIA agent. He gives her access codes and briefs her about Latif. She's told to extract key information from him. Feeling uneasy but having no choice, Alice agrees. She's taken to a secret facility where Latif is being held. When Alice starts questioning Latif, she first pretends to think he doesn't speak English, but then notices he reacts when she mentions getting an interpreter. She removes his handcuffs to make him relax. Latif insists he's just a regular Muslim who was wrongly taken. Alice doubts that, especially since he doesn't ask why he's there. She shows him photos of a bombing to test his reaction, then steps out, which the other agents think is wasting time. When she comes back, she accuses Latif of working with Imam Khalil and threatens him with prison. He denies it until she shows him a photo of him with Khalil. Scared, he admits he was only delivering a message. Alice promises protection if he tells her everything. Latif starts revealing details about the plan. Alice tells Sutter that the message Latif carried was part of a religious decree, but incomplete. They still need the source quote and meeting location. Suddenly, she gets a call from another CIA agent, Ed Romley, asking her to come in for another interrogation. That's when Alice realizes something's off. Sutter and his team aren't actually CIA. They've tricked her. Back in the room, Sutter asks her to write something down. She spots a man behind her loading a gun. Thinking quickly, she pretends she doubts Latif's story and asks to question him again. Once alone, she signals Latif that they're in danger. Before they can act, chaos erupts. Latif manages to run while Alice shoots several attackers, killing a few before escaping. Unfortunately, Latif gets shot, forcing her to flee alone. Elsewhere, David Mercer checks a deadly virus sample with a scientist, then has it loaded into a device that can release it as an invisible mist. He sends it off with a courier. Moments later, some children wander into the lab and are exposed to the virus without knowing it. Alice goes to Eric Lash's apartment and tells him everything, that she was set up and Sutter wasn't CIA. Lash tends to her injuries and tells her to hide at one of his safe houses. But before she can leave, armed men attack the house. Alice and Lash fight back, but Lash is shot. Before dying, he gives her the address of the safe house and tells her to run. Alice reaches the safe house but finds a burglar inside. She holds him at gunpoint, ties him up, and finds his ID. His name is Jack Alcott. His constant talking annoys her, so she tapes his mouth shut. After catching her breath, she rigs a phone line to contact Bob Hunter and tells him everything, that she's being hunted and someone has stolen CIA access codes. Bob sends a rescue team, but before they can reach her, police raid the building. She leaves Jack a knife so he can free himself and escapes, only to get surrounded by officers. She hides in a laundry room but gets tased during a scuffle. Just as things look bad, Jack shows up and saves her, taking down the cops. Hunter, meanwhile, argues with Emily Knowles from MI5, who's furious about the unauthorized operation in London. Alice wakes up in an abandoned warehouse with Jack beside her. He says he overheard her call and decided to help. She realizes he's ex-military, a Marine who served 4 tours in Iraq. Jack asks for answers, but Alice warns him to stay out of it. Jack insists he's already involved and can help her survive. The two then visit Amjad's apartment, where his wife and daughter welcome them. Amjad offers to drive them in his cab. On the ride, Jack and Amjad chat casually about football, giving everyone a brief sense of normal life amid all the chaos. Later, Alice contacts Emily again, asking for help tracking Latif's phone. She doesn't have time to explain everything, but insists it's urgent. Jack and Alice arrive at a restaurant connected to the investigation. Jack goes in first, while Alice waits outside and instructs Amjad to see which way the restaurant owner goes when he leaves. When Alice enters, she pretends to be from a community center sent by Latif's mother to help him because the police are after him. The owner excuses himself, and Alice quickly contacts Emily. Outside the restaurant, the owner makes a suspicious phone call about Alice. Emily traces it to a parking lot nearby. Inside, Alice and Jack wait for the right time to move. When Alice signals, Jack quickly knocks out the guards at the back door. Alice then calls for Imam Khalil, who finally appears. Outside, Amjad follows the restaurant owner to an apartment. Inside, Alice tells Khalil that Latif is dead, and that others are trying to twist his message protocol for their own agenda. Khalil explains that his message to Mercer was actually to stand down. He says he once hated the West, but after years of conflict, he now works to stop violence. Alice respects him, but insists on knowing the target and meeting location. Khalil refuses to share that information. Meanwhile, Emily finds Latif's motorcycle and phone in the parking lot. Alice and Jack leave the restaurant to meet Amjad at the apartment, telling him to keep watch. Alice then gets a call from Emily about the phone and a text revealing the meeting spot. When Jack makes a joking comment about his past in Afghanistan, Emily corrects him. It was Iraq. Alice grows suspicious of his story and questions him. Jack tries to calm her, but when he gets too close, she pulls her gun. Jack suddenly lunges with a knife. They fight, and although Alice briefly disarms him, he overpowers her and forces her to give up the meeting info. He drags her into an elevator at gunpoint, demanding the recognition protocol. Alice refuses to cooperate. A man enters with 2 muzzled dogs, and Alice uses the distraction to pull off a muzzle. Chaos breaks out, and Jack shoots one of the dogs in panic. He pins Alice down again, demanding answers. She spits in his face. Before he can shoot her, Amjad bursts in but is quickly knocked down. The dog owner then shoots Jack and lets his dog maul him to death. Later, Emily investigates a virus outbreak affecting local boys and sees how deadly it is. She then reunites with Alice at the meeting location, where agents prepare Amjad to act as the courier. Alice worries for him, but Emily assures her he'll be safe. Amjad is proud to help, but gets a serious talk from Alice to stay focused. They don't realize an MI5 sniper is secretly listening. Amjad heads to the docks to meet Mercer while Alice and Emily stay in a van nearby. Emily then reveals something shocking. There was a 90-minute delay during the Paris bombing operation, suggesting someone inside the CIA wanted it to happen. Alice learns a CIA whistleblower died in that attack and realizes she wasn't to blame after all. Elsewhere, Hunter's team finds a bullet from a rifle used only by British forces and links it to a man named John Wilson, the same sniper watching Alice's team. Wilson cuts his live feed, kills 2 other snipers, and approaches Alice's van pretending all is fine. Alice checks under the docks and finds suspicious wires, making her uneasy. At the docks, Amjad meets a man he thinks is Mercer, but it's actually Sutter's hitman. The man shoots Amjad in the throat after getting his message. Emily tries to abort the mission but is ambushed by Wilson, who kills everyone in the van. Alice hears the chaos and rushes to help, but Wilson shoots Amjad before she can reach him. Alice and Emily return fire, forcing Wilson to run. Meanwhile, Sutter's fake courier meets the real Mercer and tells him to go ahead with the terror attack. Mercer's young courier plants explosives inside a football stadium's ventilation system before the match begins. In another scene, Sutter meets Lash, the real mastermind. Lash plays a recording of Mercer talking to the courier, who hesitates because there are children nearby. Mercer pushes him to go through with it, but when the courier freezes, Lash has him killed. Alice tracks them down and confronts Sutter and Lash in a restaurant. She shoots Sutter and then corners Lash, demanding to know the target. Lash reveals he faked his death and had Jack spy on her to keep her involved. He admits he manipulated Mercer's plan after realizing Khalil had gone soft. Alice tells him she knows about the Paris cover-up, but Lash argues it was necessary. Alice removes her gun magazine to bait him, and when he notices it's empty, he shoves her and escapes in his car. She chases him to an abandoned building near the stadium. There, Lash meets his assassin and activates a 5-minute countdown for the explosives. Alice appears and holds him at gunpoint. Lash refuses to stop the timer, bragging that the attack will make the US take biological warfare seriously and gain access to millions of medical records. Suddenly, the assassin attacks. Alice shoots him, but he throws a grenade that explodes, leaving her hanging over a ledge. Lash approaches triumphantly, with the timer ticking down. In a final move, Alice grabs him, wrestles the timer away, and drags him down as they fall. She stops the countdown just in time. Afterward, Alice reports to Hunter. He says he won't apologize for suspecting her earlier, but acknowledges her success and tells her to stop Mercer. In Prague, Mercer meets a contact on a tram. As he steps off, someone bumps into him and slashes his leg, killing him instantly. The attacker is revealed to be Alice. She calmly disappears into the crowd and later meets Hunter, who gives her a set of passports and welcomes her back to the CIA.